Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Cannon. So, all right. Oleksandr Usyk wins a split decision against Anthony Joshua in a title unification match. And one thing I noticed about the matchup was Anthony Joshua displayed a more calculated game plan. He was effectively boxing at certain points, and at other points he would brawl. He would utilize his physical attributes a lot more than he did in the first fight. I initially thought AJ actually got the nod in the decision. It may sound ridiculous to many of you guys because probably you guys scored for Usyk's more quicker, fast punches. But personally, for me, I just felt as though the fight could have been edged to AJ, or maybe even a draw for that matter. But I don't want to see a trilogy for this fight, so never mind that. But to continue.
Yeah, we can mind that.
But to continue, right? So I'm recording. But yeah, but to continue. So, throughout the match, I noticed that Anthony Joshua did not fall for feints as much as he initially did in the previous fight. He also made Usyk pay for combinations. Which is something that I found very impressive and something that was a significant improvement compared to the previous fight. The previous fight, when Usyk would throw combinations, Usyk would basically just be super intimidated. He would be beyond intimidated by Usyk's speed, Usyk's boxing skill, Usyk's feints. He was just a shell of himself in that matchup. I understand how you could say that Usyk won. I understand that, it was a 50-50 fight. So, it was for sure a 50-50 fight. Now, people around me say that AJ definitely won, but
like me.
Yep, like you. But at the same time, he ain't. He didn't, and according to those judges that he didn't, and even according to Chris Mannix himself said, that he scored the fight 116-112, and he couldn't have seen how the judges, one of the judges scored it for AJ. But from my perspective, I saw that. I feel like it was sort of the same story when AJ went against Vladimir Klitschko. So, and because, against Klitschko, the scorecards were very close, and it was very competitive. It was a very competitive matchup. Many people said that Anthony Joshua was losing that fight before he got the stoppage, and Vladimir wasn't supposed to, hop off the gas, and he was supposed to stop AJ at that time, But when it came to this matchup, as I continue, right, and I just compare both of the fights, Usyk was a lot more uncomfortable, and he was a lot more vulnerable to power shots. A lot more vulnerable. And he was a lot more intimidated by Anthony Joshua's physicality than in the first fight, because Anthony Joshua never imposed himself. If Anthony Joshua decided to impose himself in the first fight, we probably wouldn't even be having the second fight right now. The fight probably would have been even a lot closer. Anthony Joshua sometimes went back to probing his jab, leaving Usyk to throw his straight left all the time. But in some of the other rounds, he sharpened it up and threw a more firm and more crisp jab. It's just that he couldn't keep it consistent throughout the entire fight. This fight had really high stakes in it. People were saying how AJ was going to get stopped this time, and he was going to get put away, and he wasn't going to survive this round in this fight. And as we all saw in this matchup, he for sure did survive. He survived the entire thing. He was comfortable. Well, no, he was comfortable at first. I feel like he gained a lot of confidence in the mid rounds, and he started to lose it over time. Then he got it a little back. Sort of like the first fight, I feel like he lost confidence even earlier. Then it was a downhill spiral from there. As for Usyk and the future of his fights, I'm not sure if he's ever going to fight Tyson Fury. The only opponent that I see him fighting is Deontay Wilder, who is coming back with a fight against Robert Helenius. And I guarantee after this split decision performance against Anthony Joshua on the side of Usyk, Tyson Fury may come back. It wasn't a dominant performance, you know. I believe that Tyson Fury left and decided to vacate the titles to see, you know, how the heavyweight division was going to end up. And something that I noticed was Usyk struggled a lot more in this fight than in the first fight. Struggled a lot more. Showed a lot more vulnerabilities. Almost got stopped in like the 9th round, I think. Almost got stopped in the 9th round. You know, AJ was throwing a collage of punches. He was throwing a more significant array of body shots. Just more roughhouse type of fighting. He even egged him on the head like a hammer in one of the rounds. Like it was a breath of fresh air to see, you know, AJ in his older form slugging it out and trying to impose his will on his opponents, just like he did against, you know, Dillian White and all of these other fighters. As for some of the other performances, Flip Higrovic versus Jelly Jang. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but excuse my lack of knowledge. But yeah, so in this matchup, right? In this matchup, basically, I noticed Flip got dropped with a flash knockdown. Zhang surprisingly did a lot better than I thought he would. Did a lot better. I was actually caught off guard with how impressive he looked during some of those rounds. He was roughing Higrovic up. Zhang was looking like Martin Bracoli against Tony Yoka, and we all saw what happened with that matchup. Like Martin Bracoli started bashing Tony Yoka up, and Tony Yoka got destroyed in that fight badly, but it somehow was not a unanimous decision, and somehow wasn't even a stoppage. It was just crazy. You know, Flip Higrovic is a lot more slower than I initially thought he'd be. I thought, you know, for this fight he'd come in better shape, but he didn't. You know, he was pretty flat-footed. He wasn't that fast. He didn't have that much agility. And typically people will say his agility and his ability to lean back like Vitaly Klitschko would, you know, give him a chance against Usyk, but Alexander Usyk basically had the same thing, but he never became an elite opponent. He had a familiar style to Vitaly Klitschko, but we all saw what happened to his career. And Callum Smith versus that French guy, that was a great performance. All right. So when the French guy did his little thing against Callum Smith, now I forgot the French guy's name. I'm just gonna call him a French guy. Callum Smith landed some body shots and got him out of there. Callum Smith did not utilize the jab as much as I wanted him to do, or neither his trainer wanted him to do. You know, pretty sure his trainer for that fight was Buddy McGirt, and Buddy McGirt wanted him to utilize that jab more, and he did not. He was probing the jab like you see a lot of fighters doing nowadays, and he wasn't really using that jab as a weapon like its true potential, which he should have from a long distance ago, from a while ago. The fight was great though. Callum Smith is looking like a monster at 174. That was 175. And it's not something that caught me off guard either. I expected him to fill out pretty well because of his height and his dimensions. So I wonder how successful he's going to be in this division. Badu Jack versus Connecticut native, you know, from Hartford. So, you know, I had to root for him because he was from Hartford and he was going against another favorite fighter of mine. So, yeah, Badu Jack. That fight, I initially just made the assumption that Badu Jack was going to steamroll this guy because of how ugly his fighting style, the Connecticut native, looked. Popeye the Sailor Man looked, but you know, I was quite surprised when Badu Jack started having serious problems, serious issues against him. It caught me off guard a little bit. I wasn't like absolutely startled. I just thought I was just like I was very impressed by Popeye the Sailor Man's performance. And I feel like this was the card of upsets, sort of. I felt like Popeye the Sailor Man could have probably got the nod. I felt like AJ could have probably got the nod in some of these in the decision, I guess. Maybe not a 116, 112, but a 115, 113. Because I don't think a 116, 112 would work at all for AJ versus Usyk. AJ had too much of a competitive fight against Usyk to even deserve a 116-112. But a 115-113 scorecard for him is very valid, so I don't have too much of an issue of one of the judges scoring it for Anthony Joshua. But what is Anthony Joshua going to do here from now? We'll have to find out and see. I don't know if he's going to retire or not, but he's lost to the top guy 2 times in a row, and his legendary reign and the legendary stuff that he did throughout his career is going to be overshadowed now. You know, people are just going to be like, oh, he was a hype job in the first place. He didn't perform that well, and he may never be the same fighter ever again. He may never have that same fan base. He may never have that same recognition ever again. Maybe AJ may, ignite a crazy upset. He has the exact dimensions to do so. What if Deontay Wilder beat Usyk and AJ beat Deontay Wilder? Like, there's a possibility for all of that. What if AJ beat Tyson Fury, then, after Tyson Fury beat Usyk? Like, there is so much potential for all of these things to happen in this division, and it's crazy. It's mixed colors around here. I don't know about the undercard heavyweights and how they would do against these elites, but when it comes to the realm of the elites, it could be rock, paper, scissors anytime. And I'm seriously curious to see how things will come up with this. I'm curious to see the future of Usyk and both AJ. Usyk probably is going to fight a mandatory next, while AJ is probably going to, I don't know, might even retire. It depends on his mindset. If his mindset was to always be the top guy, he may just retire. If his mindset is, oh, he has a potential to fight another top opponent and styles make fights, he may just keep going. So let me know your guys' opinions in the comment section about this matchup. Trying to hit 1,000 subscribers. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, and let me know your opinions about this matchup.